Okay, so I just thought that it would be important to make this video before I upload my actual video. This is going to be a part of my new video about decriminalizing / legalizing drugs. This is an intro, even though I already actually have an intro, but I am filming this after I filmed that video, and after reviewing it, there's just some things I want to go over, which those things are being that one, I say a lot, I'll say that a lot in my video, just because, I'm not actually staying to the script, to my written word on it all the time. I do have my computer shoved up in my face half the time, but that doesn't mean that I'm always reading from it, and of course, whenever I bring my computer off to the side, I'm not reading from it, and, there are some stuff that I wanted to get over, but didn't really, because it's 10 minutes long. So that didn't really happen, and there are some stops in the video, so just look for that, because there's a bunch of stops, and that's because people were in the hallway, and I was filming that in the hallway. So these are just some quick things I wanted to do before I drummed. So hopefully you'll enjoy the video and enjoy my points I made in the video. Thank you. Alright, so I'm doing a video. It's also another school project. I'm sorry if you actually like my YouTube videos and you're just getting flooded with school projects, but it's kind of double use. I get to make a YouTube video and I also get to get credit for a school project, and again, it's English. Really, the person that's probably the most into this is my English teacher. You're welcome, Miss Christensen. But basically, the main purpose of this is going to be about legalizing drugs, but I'm going to have to go over some stuff on my English project. I'll leave a link in the description, not a link, but a time in the description to skip to where you want to, where decriminalizing or legalizing drugs starts. But basically, this is supposed to be impress someone, and I really wanted to do a video over something about legalizing drugs or decriminalizing drugs, one of the two. So I just decided to use someone that actually has spoke about it, which being Gary Johnson, the Libertarian presidential candidate of 2016 and also 2012. He briefly ran for Republican in 2012, but then quit because really no one cared. But now to get on with the drug part. Now, first of all, I'm going to explain to you what decriminalization is. Decriminalization is where it's technically not legalized and it's technically not illegal, but it's kind of a gray area in between. If you get caught with drugs, you would be you wouldn't be sent to prison, but you would be sent. You would have to pay a fine of some sort, and normally it's not too big of a fine, but it is still technically not legal, so you can't really have drugs. But it's done some things for some countries, most notably Portugal. Portugal, they decriminalized drugs, and you can go. They decriminalized drugs, so that's why I'm going to talk about Portugal in here. They decriminalized drugs, and it's done some things for their country. Now, first I'm going to start off with a quote from Gary Johnson. "The war on drugs is a miserable failure. There have been $30 billion spent on it and $6 million per year in 16 drug-related deaths in Portugal are their second lowest in the European Union. Just 3 in 1 million people die of overdoses there, compared with the EU average of 17.3 per million. The number of deaths of adults who have done, drugs in the past year has decreased steadily since 2001. The number of people in drug treatment increased from 60% from 1998 to 2011, from 23,600 to 38,000. Drug Policy Alliance in 2017 The criminalization of drug possession is a major driver of mass incarceration and mass criminalization in the United States. Each year, U.S. law enforcement makes more than 1.5 million drug arrests, more arrests than for all violent crimes combined. The overwhelming majority, more than 80%, are for possession only and involve no violent offense. Or on any given night, there are at least 133,000 people behind bars in U.S. prisons and jails for drug possession, and 63% of those are held pre-trial, which also can cause court clog in our criminal justice system and a ton of other things in our criminal justice system that actually will worsen it and worsen people's lives compared to decriminalizing or legalizing drugs. Drug decriminalization drastically reduces the number of people incarcerated, alleviates racial and income-based disparities in the criminal justice. Several countries have experienced with decriminalization, most notably Portugal. Yeah. Research of the Portuguese policy has shown promising outcomes today in Portugal. No one is arrested or incarcerated for drug possession. Many more people are receiving treatment, and HIV, AIDS, and drug overdoses have drastically decreased. Growing support for decriminalizing drug use and possession, support for eliminating criminal penalties for drug possession is growing across the U.S. and around the world. Alexander 12, from the New York Times. In this era of mass incarceration, our nation's prison population has quintupled in a few decades, partially as a result on the war on drugs. Now, decriminalization is an obvious first step for legalization. We could go to legalization first, but it's not really shown anywhere. So our first choice would most likely to be to decriminalize drugs. And what would decriminalizing drugs mean to American citizens? It would do amazing things for the U.S. First of all, we spent $40 billion on the war on drugs last year, and that's according to drugsense.org. And if we were to decriminalize, we would decrease this major amount of spending just on the war on drugs, not even the imprisonment of these people that were caught using drugs. In 2010, 40 states said that they spent $40 billion altogether on prisons and inmates, so that's about $50 billion for all of the states. And that number isn't even accurate because drug rates have went up. About one half of that number is the money is spent on drug-related crimes. That's from drugpolicy.org. Okay, so if you don't think that lowering overdose rates and drug rates and cutting down on the amount of money we spend on the war on drugs and saving the amount of money it takes to imprison those drug users, you might think that would be a great thing to abolish organized crime and making the new criminal and the abolishment of making new criminals through drugs. Basically, what I'm saying there is, if you don't know what organized crime is, it's basically crime done for a profit, and many criminals have done this. Most notably, Al Capone, one of the most infamous criminals in the world. He was created from the abolition of alcohol, and he was basically just selling alcohol and had people put to death for certain reasons. We ruin people's lives because we make things illegal, basically. That was seen with the abolition of alcohol, and it's also being seen with the war on drugs because we basically created a new market with the war on drugs. We created a new market that's all under the table, which none of it's being taxed, and we have also ruined many lives from this. We have ruined lives that were just normal people that had a general problem. We made them into criminals. Pause it, please. We created a legal business that has earned billions, possibly even trillions over the years. We have, and like I said before, it's all under the table. It's not being taxed. We have created many criminals over the years from this. There's like El Chapo, everyone knows about him. Basically, he got all of his riches from selling drugs. Drug cartels have been created because of the abolition of drugs, the war on drugs. So these are major reasons why we should actually legalize drugs, or at the very least decriminalize. Now, what would happen when we get to legalization is that whenever drugs are decriminalized, we still have sellers, and it's still dangerous to actually buy them. But whenever you legalize them, they can all be taxed by the U.S. state, and they can also have many benefits on the U.S. economy. Just from the legalization of marijuana in California and Colorado, they have earned millions upon billions of taxation money from those drugs, and they've actually come out of debt from that. And that's something that we could see with I don't know if the U.S. federal government can actually come out of debt just from legalizing drugs, but it could be a big step to helping us come out of debt. And really, the U.S. government has only been out of debt, I think, once. So it's really a far-fetched thing to get out of debt, but it's a great thing to at least lower our debt, because it's something that we are so far into, and it's ruining our economy. So if you don't like what I've said, if you think that people should, no, stop.
Go.
For the benefit of all of the U.S. citizens, it would be a great idea to legalize drugs and at the very least decriminalize drugs. Like I've shown you with the information from Portugal, Portugal has decriminalized drugs and it's done many great things for their country, and it's even helped them through an economical downfall that happened around the 2008 area. So if you really want to help our U.S. economy, if you want to help our U.S. people, if you want to help the people who are for the benefit of those who actually have a legitimate problem and are sent to jail for that, given no chance to get over their addiction, they're just stripped away from their drug and causing many problems with those people, please help us with my ideas for legalizing and decriminalizing drugs. This video is sponsored by
Angela Rose Powered by a t-shirt.